Most people think they understand Sigma males because they recognize the surface traits, the silence, the independence, the unpredictability. But they always miss the part that actually matters, the inner engine that shapes all of it. They focus on behaviors, not origins. Appearances, not motives. Patterns, not the internal code that drives them. And that's why every description feels incomplete. A Sigma isn't defined by how he acts, he's defined by why he acts. There's a deeper psychology underneath the calm exterior, one built from years of self-reliance, emotional discipline, and a worldview formed outside the noise of the crowd. If you don't understand that layer, you don't understand him at all. And once you see the truth, you'll never look at Sigma behavior the same way again. Before we continue, answer this in the comments. What's the most misunderstood trait of Sigma males in your opinion? And don't forget to subscribe to UltraWise so you never miss the next breakdown. Most descriptions focus on Sigma behavior, but ignore the internal psychology that actually drives it. They describe what he does, but they never understand why. They look at the surface, the solitude, the independence, the silence, the refusal to follow the crowd. But none of that makes sense unless you understand the mind behind it. A mind shaped by years of self-observation, carefully built defenses, and a deep, unspoken awareness of how people operate. A Sigma male does not wake up one day and decide to be mysterious. He becomes that way because his early experiences forced him to think instead of react, to observe instead of participate, and to question everything instead of accepting anything as truth. This internal psychology, not the behavior itself, is what defines him. He learned very young that most people speak without thinking, commit without understanding, and follow without questioning. That realization turned him inward. While others were busy seeking approval, he was studying patterns, how people betray themselves with their tone, how intentions hide behind words, how pressure exposes truth faster than time. His behavior, the silence, the detachment, the independence, is simply the outer layer of a mind that sees more than it says. His calm isn't personality, it's strategy. His distance isn't arrogance, it's protection. His independence isn't rebellion, it's self-preservation born from environments that taught him he could rely only on himself. When you fail to understand this internal engine, everything about him looks confusing. But when you finally see the psychology, the way he processes emotion privately, the way he handles conflict logically, the way he filters every connection through intuition instead of need, suddenly the behavior makes perfect sense. His actions are only the shadow. The mind behind them is the real story. Observers describe the patterns, but fail to understand the mindset that creates those patterns. People see the same external traits repeated across Sigma males: the withdrawal, the selective silence, the independence, the analytical calm, and they assume these traits appear out of nowhere. They label them as quirks, personality choices, or mysterious habits. But the truth is far deeper. Every pattern you see on the surface is born from a mindset shaped by years of internal refinement. A Sigma does not act detached because he wants attention. He acts detached because he learned early that emotional chaos clouds judgment. He does not move alone because he dislikes people. He moves alone because solitude sharpens his intuition and frees him from the noise that blinds everyone else. The mindset behind these patterns is built on an internal rule: never act without understanding the landscape first. While others rush forward, he watches. While others speak, he listens. While others seek connection, he evaluates intention. The patterns people observe, the quiet confidence, the strategic distance, the independence, are simply behaviors forged by a mind that refuses to operate on impulse. His restraint is intentional. His reactions are calculated. His path is chosen, not stumbled into. This mindset comes from a lifetime of seeing how easily people lose themselves in others. He watched individuals betray their values for approval, sacrifice their time for validation, and destroy their peace just to belong. So he built his identity on the opposite foundation: internal direction over external influence. Observers catch only the patterns, never the philosophy behind them. A philosophy shaped by clarity, self-discipline, and a refusal to let the world script his life. Until someone understands that inner architecture, they will always misinterpret the patterns as mystery, when in reality, they are mastery. They assume his independence is preference, not a survival-built identity shaped over time. People often mistake a Sigma male's independence for a simple preference, as if he just likes being alone, or chooses solitude because it looks cool, detached, or mysterious. What they never see is the history beneath that independence, the quiet storms he survived long before anyone noticed the man he became. His self-reliance wasn't crafted from comfort, it was carved from necessity. There were years when he learned the hard way that relying on others meant disappointment, misalignment, or betrayal. There were moments when he realized that the only person who truly showed up for him consistently was himself. Independence became less of a lifestyle choice and more of a survival instinct, a structure built brick by brick through lessons he never asked for but never forgot. This identity formed in silence, long before anyone tried to interpret it. He learned to solve problems alone because others made the solution more complicated. He learned to regulate his own emotions because nobody else could understand their depth. He learned to move without permissions, without applause, and without reassurance, because waiting on others slowed him down or broke his momentum entirely. Over time, this survival mode hardened into mastery. He stopped depending not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. He discovered that autonomy freed him from emotional traps, unnecessary drama, and the instability of unreliable people. What observers see today is the polished version, the man who stands alone effortlessly, thinks independently, and moves through life without leaning on anyone. But beneath that simplicity is an entire history of self-forged resilience. His independence is not a preference, it is a foundation. It is the identity he built to protect himself, elevate himself, and maintain control over his path. And once it became part of him, there was no returning to anything less. They misinterpret his silence as avoidance instead of disciplined emotional control. People often rush to label a Sigma male's silence as fear, withdrawal, or emotional avoidance, but that assumption comes from misunderstanding the purpose behind it. His silence is not an escape. It is a weapon, a shield, and a filter all at once. While others react impulsively, spilling emotions without understanding them, he steps back and chooses stillness with intention. He knows that emotional reactions can be used against him, twisted, or misunderstood, so he doesn't offer any. He studies the moment, the person, the energy in the room, and he waits for the truth to reveal itself. Silence becomes his way of seeing reality without distortion. This restraint didn't come naturally. It was built through years of realizing that reacting too fast cost him clarity, relationships, and peace. He learned that words spoken in heat become tools for manipulation, and emotions expressed too freely become leverage for the wrong people. So he mastered the art of holding steady. When someone expects him to explode, he doesn't. When someone tries to trigger him, he doesn't move. When someone demands an answer, he responds with space instead of noise. This isn't avoidance, it's refined emotional discipline, the ability to stay grounded while everyone else loses balance. In silence, he gains perspective. He sees motives more clearly. He recognizes patterns faster. He hears what people don't say, not just what they do. And while others interpret this as distance, he's actually becoming sharper, calmer, and more strategic. His silence is not the absence of emotion, it is the control of it. It is the difference between reacting and choosing. And once you understand that, you realize his quiet is not weakness or fear. It is strength that doesn't need to raise its voice. They analyze his logic, but overlook the emotional discipline that makes it possible. People often look at a Sigma male's decisions and call them cold, logical, or detached, but they rarely understand the emotional foundation that allows him to think with such clarity. His logic isn't some robotic instinct. It's the result of years spent learning how not to be ruled by impulse, insecurity, or emotional chaos. He learned early that emotion without discipline can ruin judgment, warp perception, and lead him into choices that don't align with who he is. So he trained himself to feel without letting feelings drive the wheel. His calm mind isn't natural, it's earned. When faced with conflict, he doesn't flinch. When emotions rise, he doesn't drown. When others panic, he becomes sharper. Not because he lacks emotion, but because he has mastered the ability to hold it in place. People assume he's uncaring, but that's only because they've never seen anyone carry emotion without leaking it everywhere. His restraint is not suppression, it's control. He doesn't deny what he feels, he sorts it, understands it, and removes the distortion before making a decision. That's why his choices seem so precise, so aligned, so steady. In reality, his strength comes from emotional discipline, not the absence of emotion. He's been hurt, betrayed, misunderstood, but instead of breaking him, those experiences taught him to direct his emotions inward, refine them, and use them as guidance rather than weight. This discipline allows him to analyze situations objectively, see outcomes before they unfold, and stay grounded even when everything around him is unstable. People see the logic and mistake it for coldness. They miss the truth. His logic is only possible because he mastered the storm inside long before he mastered the world outside. They label him as an outlier without realizing he operates on an entirely different internal framework. People look at a Sigma male from the outside and assume he's simply different, a social anomaly, someone who doesn't fit the mold. But what they fail to understand is that he isn't an outlier by accident. He moves through life using a framework most people never learn to build. While others base their choices on approval, fear of rejection, or the need to belong, he operates from an inner logic shaped by independence, self-preservation, and an almost forensic understanding of human behavior. He isn't avoiding the world, he's filtering it through a lens forged by experience, solitude, and a deep commitment to authenticity. From the beginning, he learned that following the crowd leads to borrowed identities, artificial goals, and emotional dependence. So he created his own rulebook. He evaluates people based on patterns, not promises. He chooses paths based on alignment, not applause. He makes decisions from clarity, not pressure. And while most navigate using external cues, validation, expectation, comparison, he relies on an internal compass that never lies to him. This inner framework is why he seems unpredictable. He's not trying to be mysterious, he simply isn't operating on the same emotional software as everyone else. But because others can't decode his operating system, they place him in the simplest category they understand, the outlier. The lone wolf. The outsider. The anomaly. Labels that describe his appearance, not his architecture. What they miss is that his entire life is built on intentionality. His silence is strategy. His distance is protection. His independence is mastery. He's not outside the system. He's simply running a system of his own, one that frees him from influence, noise, and the need for external permission. That's why he stands apart. Not because he doesn't fit in,
but because he functions on a level most people never reach.
They cannot predict him because his motives come from within, not from social influence or expectation. Most people are easy to read because their desires follow familiar patterns: approval, status, belonging, validation, recognition. Their choices reveal the same underlying motives society has shaped in them. But a Sigma male operates outside that entire ecosystem. His decisions do not come from what others expect of him or what the world pressures him to pursue. They come from an internal engine that runs quietly, independently, and without the need for external confirmation. This is why predicting him becomes impossible. There is no audience he is trying to impress, no role he is trying to fulfill, no hierarchy he is trying to climb. When he moves, he does so because something inside him shifts, not because someone else told him to, not because the crowd is running in a certain direction, not because staying looks safer or more acceptable. His motives come from self-evaluation, private logic, and an instinct for growth that is entirely his own. While others chase trends, emotional highs, or social rewards, he is guided by alignment, purpose, and a deep need for authenticity. You cannot track a man who isn't following the paths society lays in front of him. And it is this internal guidance system that makes his next move invisible until it's already done. He walks away without warning because he made the decision months ago, quietly, in places no one else could see. He reinvents himself without announcing it because he does not need applause to validate the transformation. He chooses relationships based on depth, not convenience, leaving outsiders confused when he disappears without conflict. To predict someone, you need access to the forces that influence them, but his forces live entirely inside him. That is why he stays unreadable, unmanipulable, and completely beyond anyone's control. When you finally understand a Sigma male, it isn't because he explained himself, it's because you learned to see what he never needed to say. His psychology is quiet, internal, and deeply intentional, and that's exactly why most people misread him. But if you've reached this point, you're already seeing the pattern the world keeps missing. His silence isn't emptiness, his distance isn't coldness, and his unpredictability isn't confusion. It's self-mastery. It's a man living by his own internal compass, not the noise outside him. And once you grasp that, you realize why he cannot be controlled, categorized, or replaced. He is built differently, and he lives differently. Before you go, I want to hear from you. Which part of this breakdown made you see Sigma psychology more clearly? And which trait do you personally relate to the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments. One word, one sentence, whatever comes naturally. Your perspective matters more than you think. If you want deeper insight into the minds of Sigma males and the hidden psychology behind their behavior, make sure you subscribe to Ultra Wise. Every week, we decode the patterns most people overlook, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next.